Hi, I'm Dr. George Yancey. Let's share some paradigms. Paradigm I want to share today concerns the lure of partisanship. This channel I've talked about often is a channel for Christians who are not comfortable with the left or the right. That's me. I think there's a lot of us out there, and I want a place in which we can come and hopefully dialogue and understand that there's other people who are not completely comfortable with the left or the right. We may agree with them on certain issues, disagree on other issues, but we're not comfortable with them. But now I have a confession. I confess that sometimes, even though I rail against partisanship and what it brings, sometimes I'm tempted to want to become a partisan. I really admit this, and this is not just a joke. Sometimes I look at people who are partisan and I'm jealous of what they have. They have a certainty that I don't have. They have a team. When I discuss things, sometimes people on the right love what I have to say, but then 5 minutes later they hate what I have to say. And same thing for those on the left. Even some of the people who are independent like me disagree with me on issues. And so I don't have a team. And I'm jealous of that. Partisans have a certainty on right and wrongness. They know that their group is right and the other group is wrong. And that feels wonderful. Okay, let me put another dynamic. I am a Texas Longhorn fan. And I know this may drive away some of my viewers who may be Aggie fans or Sooner fans. I'm sorry. If you got to go, you got to go. But I'm a Texas Longhorn fan. And so when I am a Texas Longhorn partisan, when I'm watching a Texas Longhorn football game or a basketball game, the Longhorns are always right. And that feels kind of good. And I can, just cheer for them as hard and loud as I want to be. And, that's great. I'm not parsing, I'm not being nuanced. I want the Longhorns to win 50-0, no matter who they play. There's a certain amount of comfort in that. Being partisan brings a level of confidence that sometimes those of us in the middle don't have. We're unsure about an issue. We may be pro-life, but we're unsure about some of the implications of that, even though we ultimately become pro-life. We may be against the death penalty, but then we see situations where it doesn't feel like that's what we should do. We may be pro-racial justice, but then we see the excesses of some of the organizations that engage in racial justice. There's a lot of things that we sometimes nuance, and if you're a partisan, you don't have to do that. You can say, no, just be with our team all the way. And that's attractive. I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes I don't want to do nuance. I want to do black and white. And there are times where that's appropriate. So yeah, I admit it. Sometimes I just want to be a partisan. So why don't I just go that route? Why don't I just pick a team and go that direction? Before I discuss that, let me say I'm happy you're with me so far. If you enjoyed this so far, please stay with me. Not only that, consider liking this video, considering subscribing to this channel, considering, just leaving a comment. Maybe you feel this pull as well. Maybe you think that, no, I've never felt this pull. Maybe it's only just me. Okay, so why not become a partisan? There's a lot of the advantages of it are pretty clear to me. Why don't I do that? Part of it is that I cannot, with intellectual honesty, pick a side. I disagree with both sides on certain key issues. Just policy-wise, I would have to submerge important elements of me. I'll oversimplify this. If I was to pick the Democrats, all my instincts towards a pro-life reality, all my instincts towards some of the traditional mores, sexual cultural mores that I have, I would have to just jettison that. On the other hand, if I pick the Republican side, all my instincts towards racial and economic justice, I would have to submerge that for massive tax cuts. I just can't do that to myself intellectually. And I would feel like I was robbing myself of my integrity to pick a side. I also don't feel right being a partisan because of the ways partisans act. I get the certainty, the value of thinking your side is always right, but then that leads to some very uncomfortable situations when it becomes clear your side is not always right. It becomes clear someone on your side has done something dastardly. I have, in previous channels, talked about how reprehensible it is that the right defends people on the right almost no matter what they do. Case in point, Donald Trump. And the left does it too. Case in point, they just nominated an attorney general who jokes about murdering his opponents. Being a nonpartisan allows me to say, you know what, you're wrong, but you're wrong too. And I don't have to support either one of those positions. So being nonpartisan allows me to be more truly who I am, someone who looks at issues, comes to the right conclusions regardless if it's on the left or the right, and can move forward with passion when necessary. Being a nonpartisan does not mean that I disagree with either side all the time, or that I cannot have strong feelings towards an issue. It's not that I'm in the middle all the time. It does mean that I'm free. I'm free of the restraints of partisanism. It gives a comfort, but also restrains what you're allowed to say and who you're allowed to support and when you're allowed to support them. I can make each judgment on its own. And at the end of the day, that freedom is greater than the freedom I get from the false notion that my team is always right. So, I will remain nonpartisan, or if you want to concern, an independent, who sometimes will support those on the right and sometimes those on the left, depending on the issue, and will engage in nuance when it's appropriate. I had that temptation, but by the mercy of God, I feel like, at least for myself, this is the right position, and I'm going to go forward in this position of rejecting partisanship. Well, I'm glad that you came here, and it's always good to think about, the lures of people that draw people towards things that we disagree with. I disagree with partisanship, but I have to understand why it's so attractive. That prevents me from dehumanizing those who are partisans, for seeing them as my Samaritans. Once again, I'm glad you came here, and please come back. We can shatter some more paradigms.